Estoril, Rome and Paris. These are clay tennis tournaments you can get to. Queen's, lawn tennis, you can get to. Wimbledon, not a chance. Fast twitch muscle. Twitch muscles. If you're genetically born with this, you've got a chance at doubles. Without, much less so. Doubles tennis is much more dynamic and exciting to watch than singles. But because it's faster, when you're playing, you have to have a strategy of what happens next in many different scenarios, a bit like chess, but faster. And nothing tells you that there's going to be a good rally coming up. So when you're filming tennis, you have to film a lot. It's too long. You don't actually enjoy watching it for yourself. The chance of you filming a bit where there's a good rally is quite low. A lot of it's serve game. But there's not big long gaps between points. Every match there's some good net rallies. Dominating the net is perhaps one of your most important strategies. Consistently dominating the net will put pressure on your opponents. You can force them on their heels and make them try to hit difficult low percentage shots. Volleys close to the net are usually easier shots as well, so you win more points. You have better angles at the net and you can smash the ball down into the court. Moving side to side at the net, you should always be using this strategy at the net in doubles, moving laterally at the net, especially when your opponent is about to hit a ground stroke. Pressures them, unforced errors. Tennis players are taught not to hit to the net player in doubles, so they will likely try to change the direction of their shot or hit a more difficult shot. This can cause countless unforced errors and frustrate the other team. If you are faking, you may also get an easy volley to win the point. The fake is when you act as if you're going to poach, but you recover towards the alley in the service box. To fake is one of the best ways to force missed returns or ground strokes. If we've poached a few times in the match already, maybe they hit a few shots up the line or tried a lob. This is a great time to counter with a fake. Leave super early to get to the middle of the net as the serve crosses. Then just before the opponent makes contact with the ball, jump back to the side to put away the volley. That's sure to come down the line. A lot of times they'll just miss, but at the times you'll get a pretty easy volley. Cracking an egg and boiling it in water. What's poaching in doubles? When the net player crosses towards the other side of the court to cut a ball off and hit a volley. Not the other side of the net, the other side of the court. Poaching is best done early in the match. It could be a lot of it when you're watching. And later in the rally, it's just pretty much the one player covering the front of the net and the other player covering the back of the court. Most players never return down the line early in a match, so you should be able to poach a few returns during the first few games. If your partner can serve to the backhand, the return should be fairly weak. Be sure to close towards the net and hit the volley at its highest point when you poach. Poaching can be done during a rally anytime you see the opponent in an uncomfortable position, like on their heels behind the baseline. Poaching can be a staple, a go-to, a fundamental basic strategy. While we're at it, of course, there's the pinch. Pinching is when you move diagonally towards the centre net strap. In this case, you're giving up a little bit of the alley, but you're also taking away some of the cross-court shot. Pinching is a great tactic to force the opponent to hit an uncomfortable shot into a smaller target. If they hit a weak return cross-court, you'll be there to put it away. To get it by you down the alley, their return or ground stroke has to be within a few feet of the sideline, especially on a serve that is up the tee. This will make them miss often and will get you involved in the point as a net player. Anytime I'm not poaching or faking, I'm pinching, goes the old adage. The alley, the tram lines as you might know them, is open on two of these three options when a partner is serving. That's intentional because you want the opponent to go for that lower percentage shot and increase your odds of closing the point out at the net by getting more involved. Faking doesn't really open up the tram lines. These three net strategies for doubles are less essential for singles because there's more variety, but they do get overlooked. You're at the net a lot more in doubles. It's a common misconception that you have to either poach or cover the line at the net. Really, you should always be moving at the net. If you've ever told your partner, I'll cover the alley, then you're doing it wrong. There are these three options, these three strategies: poach, fake or pinch. No, you don't hit the ball to the net player, but you do hit the ball to the net player's feet. It's much more difficult to hit a good volley from down low on your feet and ankles that volley up at your chest or shoulders, much easier. Hitting the ball at their feet puts the opponent at a big disadvantage. They will usually miss the shot or pop the ball up since they have to lift a difficult volley back up over the net. This is usually a good time for you to, or your partner to, poach and put the ball away. Your partner at the back of the court there, they've sort of done a bit of a half-hearted lob just to get the ball over the net, haven't they? You can get the ball to their feet by hitting the heavy topspin on your ground strokes to get the ball to dip at them after the net. Another tactic is to hit a soft volley that stays low over the net before dropping to the opponent's feet. Now moving away from the net a little bit, hitting ground strokes deep into the court. When you're returning or hitting ground strokes, try driving the ball deeper into the court to push the opponent's back. This will allow you to charge forward for the next shot. Typically, the opponent hits a weak shot because you force them onto their heels behind the baseline. This gives you time to attack from the net. Perhaps a forehand aiming for the deep corner near the doubles alley. Middle of the court. Are you ever really aiming for the middle of the court? Well, if you attack the middle of the court, down the middle solves the riddle. Yeah, this is a great double strategy though, especially if both opponents are at the net. There are several options. You're forcing the other team to communicate and potentially causing confusion. Usually the opponent with the forehand in the middle will take these shots. If one opponent is left-handed and the other is right-handed, then you can be even more effective. You're taking away the angles for the next shot. It's perhaps the most important. From the middle of the court, the opponent has smaller angles to use. This is a good time for you and your partner to pinch those middle since they have trouble passing you wide. Hit the weaker player's backhand volley. Well, yes. Almost every double player has a weaker backhand volley than a forehand volley. If you can hit a hard or low shot at the backhand volley of the weakest opponent, you will likely make them miss or get an easy next shot. When players are at the net, this should be the default shot, unless other obvious shots are better. It often looks like two players are bullying one player when you're watching this happen. But, as in life, sadly, bullying makes a winner. Just simple tennis doubles positioning and formation strategies are highly underrated. Not at estoril, Rome or Paris standards, but better than the big tips. You see too many people standing too close to the doubles and you're too far back from the net. When your partner is serving or returning, stay halfway between the centre line and the doubles alley. Starting too far in the alley will take the pressure off your opponents, making their return of serve or ground strokes much easier since they have a larger court to hit to. While your partner is serving or hitting a ground stroke, stand halfway between the net and the service line. If you stand too far back at the net, then you will make your volleys difficult because they will drop too low. You should always try to hit volleys at the waist or higher if you can. Now, I'm talking as if you're a tennis player. Not all people watching tennis are tennis players, but you can get more of a richness out of seeing what's going on in these people's heads rather than a back ping. No, the guy at the net, you should move forward and backwards. Once your partner is hitting, you should be back closer to the service line. As you see the ball go across the other side of the net, you should move forward towards the net so that you have an easier volley. If they hit at you, unless your partner gave them an overhead, in that case, get out of there, it's a free-for-all. Bail. You can use your positioning and movement to help with your volley technique. The returner and server should stand within 2 to 4 feet of the doubles alley, less than a metre of the trend lines. That's where you stood. You're responsible for covering half of the court, so you should usually start close to the middle of your half. You do see as a viewer several different formations in doubles, especially from the serving team. There's a strategy, advantages and disadvantages for each of the most common doubles formations. Now in this tennis appreciation tutorial for doubles, as the audience, we usually see the standard doubles formation. One person back from both teams. This is usual, common, and is the best option in most cases. The net players are cross-court from each other. This allows the baseliners to hit deep, more consistent ground strokes, cross-court. It allows your opponents to have someone covering the lob, and someone ready to attack any weak shots from the net. It also allows the baseline player more room for error since they're hitting a cross-court shot. On the other hand, there's the disadvantage that timid players will tend not to get involved with this formation. And this is a bad thing, since you always want your opponent to have to go through the net player. We've all watched the timid net player sort of left out of the game pretty much. If you're playing a good team of two, they can get a rhythm if you stick to the standard formation because you're giving them the easy cross-court shots. No, I tend to say that it's a couple if it's mixed doubles, but not proper. Standard doubles formation gets used 75 to 90% of the time. Different looks below to keep the other team off balance. The exception when you find a glaring weakness in the other team that makes a different formation consistently more effective. You need to be an intelligent player. The I formation is when the net player and the server form something close to a linear line. An I, the net player will stand on or close to the centerline service. The server will stand close to the middle as well. The server and partner will communicate before the point to determine which direction each player will move after the serve. This is often done with hand signalling or cosy little whispers. You've all wondered what's going on there, haven't you? The advantage is the returner does not know where the net player will move. This puts pressure on the returner to hit a good return. You can force a lot of missed returns with this formation, this I formation. On the other hand, if the returner hits a good down-the-line shot, it will likely be a winner or put your team off balance. Is it too hard a shot for the net guy? The back of the court guy won't necessarily see it coming until the last minute. So if a returner is getting into a rhythm while you're using the standard formation, try the I formation to give them a look. It doesn't get recommended using this the whole time in the match, but try it 3 to 5 times per set perhaps. There is also the Australian formation double strategy. This is where you stand on your head and wave your legs in the air. No, it isn't. The server and the net player both stand on the same side of the court, leaving an entire half of the court open. If the returner has a weak down-the-line return, this can be used to force them into a low percentage shot, causing a lot of errors. If you use this Australian formation on the ad side, the server will have forehand grind strokes, right-handed forehand grind strokes to hit. But you are leaving an entire half of the court open. A hard down-the-line return could be a winner, unless the server is very fast. But there are 2 good times to use this formation: when one of your opponents is hitting really strong cross-court returns and you're losing most of those points. The Australian formation will force them to go down the line, which is more difficult return. When the server feels much more comfortable hitting ground strokes from one half of the court, displaying their weaker backhand perhaps. So you could use this on the ad side to force the opponent to return the serve to your forehand side. There are some more advanced strategies for doubles positioning, but I'm never too sure if you're getting my descriptions. Generally, you're just trying to set up your net player with easy volleys. Find the opponent's weakness on their return, more usually the backhand. So you'd typically be serving up the tee on the deuce side and wide on the ad side. Get it to the backhand so your net player can get involved. Don't worry about hitting aces all the time. It does happen. It's nice when it does. Awareness through the match is where the intelligent player comes in, really. Do they hit the return down the line, or is every ball cross-court? Are they comfortable with fast-paced, slower-paced serves? Do they like forehand or the backhand? And indulge yourself a little feedback loop on what you're doing. But only half the game, almost half the game, is you serving. What about when you're returning serve? Don't you put yourself in that empathy position? Could I return that serve? Break that serve? React to anything like as fast as they do? Like even at Portuguese standards. How the French beat the Germans in this match. Well, the Germans look good on paper, on theory, but the older, more experienced French player, in strategy terms, carried the younger, probably went to a posh French prep school kid. There's nothing more satisfying for your opponents than you missing a return. It's important to focus on making a high percentage of solid returns. Giving away 3 points on the return can get a match away from you quickly. Don't go down the line too much, or worry about the net player poaching. Trying to go for too much on the return is a huge mistake that many players make. By simply making returns consistently, you will win return games, because eventually the opponents will miss a few volleys or grind strokes and you lose a game. The lowest part of the net, the longest part of the course, takes away from the opponent's angles. Aim for the middle net strike. You've got more room for error. It makes for a difficult volley for the net player as it takes away all their angles. It's straight at their body if they do poach. Against a team that plays well at the net, you want to keep the returns low. They will have a more difficult volley and likely pop the ball up. If the server stays back and the net player is timid, then you can hit returns deep cross-court. This makes for a tough grind stroke, so your teammate can poach. If you're betting on who's going to win the doubles, go for the team that are staying active at the net and making their opponents hit uncomfortable shots. Between every shot, you should be creating some movement to force the opponent to think about where to hit. Never let them into a rhythm and change up the looks that you're giving them. Test different strategies out and work with your partner to see what works best for your team and against your opponent today.